We talked about the fact that the Tucson Metro Chamber was considering pushing forward with perhaps a new nickname for Tucson, and we talked about this at length. Well, the Arizona Daily Star has chimed in with an our view. Once again, an our view is their view. I don't know if you have to sign, a waiver or sign we've done another editorial. If you sign this, all the workers have to sign it. Get Janitor Bill to sign it, and here's our view. There's the one lone conservative in the corner. Okay, if I have to. Signs it X. They write this: Old Pueblo speaks of who we are as a city. Optics Valley, the Sunshine Factory, the Baked Apple. What's in a name? The Baked Apple. Has anybody ever called us that? They're just making crap up. The Baked, yeah. He's a little slow over there. He's like, what? Yeah, the Baked Apple. It looks like those little dolls they make of dried out apples. You ever seen those? Most disgusting thing ever, by the way. I think you can still find them like in the Cracker Barrel gift shop, Right next to those, old kitschy kids' toys that the kids always go, I want to go look at it. They go, wow, these really stink. Right? Yeah, it's like, it's in between the old kitschy kids' toys, and then it's, the dried out apple face dolls, right next to the Bob Hope black and white DVD shelf. The food at Cracker Barrel's great. Gift shop, not so much. Unless the name you're most commonly referred to is Grandma or Grandpa. I'm going to write that down. It's good for a promo. As reported in Sunday's Star, the Tucson Metro Chamber wants to move away from the city's Old Pueblo nickname and toward a new mindset and attitude towards prosperity. The chamber makes a mistake. Okay? When it conflates the Old Pueblo nickname with an attitude that resists change. While that attitude exists, says the Star, the way to transform it does not begin or end with a catchphrase or brand. Okay, and I don't necessarily disagree with that statement, okay? The Tucson Metro Chamber is just looking at various things, and they're looking at Old Pueblo. What does it mean? Does it really reflect us right now? And I'm right there with them that the transformation doesn't begin or end with a catchphrase or brand. They lose me on the next sentence, though. Nor does attacking a name that means so much to Tucsonans. Now, that's where they didn't attack the name. It's not like they loaded up, the Sherman tanks of the Tucson Metro Chamber and began to fire off rounds at Old Pueblo. It's like, that sucks. It's awful. No, they just said, you know what? We kind of got an image problem. And perhaps we need to look at something more relevant to Tucson now, like Nuevo Redundante. For those that were hanging out earlier in the week. I just love that, attacking a name. You attacked the name. They bludgeoned it. You couldn't even recognize the O. The P was reduced to rubble, and the L was twisted. It looked like an S. Took you a little bit, and you're like, what? Oh, I see what he did there. He made a more vivid, like actual physical description, as if the name was out in a parking lot somewhere, and they decided to just beat the crap out of it, right? For many we spoke with, the Old Pueblo is history. Tucson, as well as their own. Uh-oh. I think you're already playing it in your head, so. It's a celebration of the city they grew up in. The taco joint on the corner. I'm sorry, let me back up. The taco joint. The corner store. The park where they met their spouse. It was a parking space, oddly enough. A lot of recalls today, People that weren't listening yesterday are completely lost right now, and for that I apologize. Where was I? Here we go. The hospital where their children were born. or the town they fell in love with and decided to call home. Then wait a second. The Tucson Metro said they needed a nickname that has new mindset and add towards prosperity, right? Okay. An attitude. They said Old Pueblo nickname is an attitude that resists change. Did they just not make that example? Right? The city they grew up in, the taco joint, the corner store, the park where they met their spouse, the hospital where their children were born, the town they fell in love with. Yeah, it sounds to me like a very old mindset. It sounds to me like Old Pueblo is representative of things that already took place. Sorry. The Old Pueblo is the desert, the mountains, the people, the bat, the rat, the monkey. A sense of place and belonging. A couple of things in there I added in on there. From a marketing standpoint, the Old Pueblo has been used to conjure up images of the Old West and Tucson's cultural past. Tourists looking to spend their money or companies wishing to relocate may not see beyond the old when making their plans. Okay? This all may be a moot point, though. Allison Cooper. Allison Cooper, Vice President of Marketing for Visit Tucson. Oh, okay. Be my Frankenstein. Told us that months of research, including, that big pause was me trying to come up with an Alice Cooper song, by the way. That's what that big pause. That was a big old pause because I'm like, it's Frankenstein. There we go. Joke birth right there. Just took a little while. Allison Cooper, Vice President of Marketing for Visit Tucson, told us that months of research, including surveys and focus groups in the target markets of Detroit and Chicago, had shown that Old Pueblo was not an association made when describing Tucson. Well, then if we wanted to change it, it shouldn't be any big deal, right? Old Pueblo didn't come up as a specific identifier of what Tucson is. It didn't spark among travelers or among stakeholders. Yeah, so no one's going to miss it if we change it to Nuevo Redundante. I'm really stuck on that, by the way. I can't let it go. For people in Tucson who love the city, its natural wonder, the Old Pueblo doesn't just mean history and roots. It also means optics, medical innovation, the University of Arizona, and its lively art scene. Progress doesn't necessarily mean we pave over our past. Growth doesn't mean we forget what makes Tucson special. The agencies tasked with economic development and tourism can promote Tucson however they want. For us, for those of us in the Old Pueblo, there's no need for a hard sell. Well, they're not talking about you, are they? You know, at the end of the day, they really just don't want anything to change. They don't want to change a damn thing. They really don't. They like Tucson just the way it is. They like the little spreading of the wealth around. They like, the bicycles. They like the subsidized transportation. They like the graffiti. They really just don't want to see us. We could be a tourist destination. We could be a place where people go, man, I want to go to Tucson in the wintertime because the weather's great there in the wintertime and they've got blah, 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 blah. We could be all those things. We could actually compete with Phoenix. But unfortunately, it's our views in the Arizona Daily Star and this mentality that keeps us kitschy. And kitschy doesn't mean economic prosperity. Kitschy is just kitschy. And it's kind of cool, but it really doesn't go much further than that. Nuevo Redundante doesn't. All right, coming up, a meeting of the minds. Arizona Illustrated, Nitzel, Romero, Kazacic, Ray Carroll talking transportation. I have some audio clips that I'll share with you coming up, and I'm going to need a little bit of your help, and we'll go through some more of the You Might Be in Tucson If. It's the John Justice Show on 104.1 The Truth, Right Talk for Tucson.